Hey friends, it's Anjali here. It's Tuesday, July 13th. Welcome to the Missions Changed My Life show by Global Hope India with your host Kevin White. This is the podcast where we say yes to God's call to go make Christ known in India and around the world. On Friday, August 6th, Kevin will be sharing part 2 of a powerful message from God's Word entitled God Guides, God Provides. God Guides, God Provides. I hope you'll join us for this international live broadcast from the USA via Zoom, YouTube or Facebook at 10 a.m. Eastern Time on Friday, August 6th. Details at kevinwhite.us. We'll see you there. Okay, now here's your host, Kevin White.
For people listening, what does it look like practically to do a listening prayer? Or, if for people that are used to just opening prayer and just kind of saying what's on their heart, what does it look like to practice that, to do a listening prayer or to listen?
The first part is to get stuff off your chest. It's literally thinking about it as a conversation. For me, I started with thinking like I'm having a coffee or a beer or whatever you want to say. I'm having a drink with Jesus. And as corny as it sounds, that helped me get into that position and mind space that I'm literally having a conversation with a friend. And if I'm okay sharing everything on my mind with my wife, I should have that same conversation with Jesus. He already knows it, but he wants us to go through that practice of a relationship. That's what it started with me. I used to have a physical chair in my prayer room where I would look at that chair and Jesus would be sitting there with me. And I would talk to the chair. And it sounds like I'm crazy, but you have to start to mentally prepare yourself to think about that I'm in a room with Jesus and I'm having a conversation like I'm having a conversation with you right now. And we're having a face-to-face conversation. He did it with Moses. God did it with Moses. He did it with all the other major people that he called to. Jesus did it with God. He showed us that he did it. He went away and prayed and he had conversation with God. So if we are supposed to be like Christ, we need to sit down and have a conversation. And and then once you start to think about, okay, I'm actually having this conversation with God, I'm sharing my feelings, sharing all my things. I had to then shift my mindset to like, okay, if there's a physical person sitting with me and I dump all this stuff on them, and then I get up and walk away, I'm a kind of a jerk, to that friend, I'm not, here's all my crap and now deal with it instead of me hearing their feedback. And that's where I had to sit and it's just discipline. It's a tuning that Jesus says that we need to hear his voice. His sheep hears his voice. And God is always speaking to us. He's always talking to us. He's always nudging us. He's there. The Spirit is within us. If we accepted Christ, the Spirit is within us. Yeah. And the Spirit is a comforter and a guide. So he is guiding us and he wants to talk to us, but he's already talking. We just need to choose to listen. And we have to start to discern between the different voices within our heads. So we have Jesus, who's always going to whisper. He's not going to yell. He's never going to condemn. He's going to convict you, and conviction is different than condemning because condemning is more harsh. Conviction is like, hey, it's usually with a question. What I've discovered in my listening prayer life is it's about questions. He's like, do you think that's a really good idea? Or do you think the questions that you're asking is really that important? Or do you think the whatever need that you're putting is like, I've already provided it a different way. Why don't you change your perspective? And it's a friendly type of questioning instead of like, you're not capable, you're not qualified, all the harsh things that happen. That's from the enemy. And then there's the world that happens. There's the world. Just get on social media. There's the world.
Right.
So,
yeah.
So there's that. The world's telling you what to do, how to look, how to live, how to, breathe practically. And then there's the flesh. And there's just the yearning of like, I want this. I want to have this. I want to have this desire. There's the emotions with it. There's like Paul talks about the thorn in his side, all the time. And there's just the things of the flesh that we desire and stuff. The cool thing about the flesh side that I look at is that God gave us a lot of the emotions that we have to figure out and deal with. Like he's giving those things. And that's why the Spirit is such a comforter, is because we needed to take our emotions through the filter of the Holy Spirit. And that's where the conversation happens. And so it takes time. I still, I've been doing it for like 15 plus years of this listening prayer side of things in my faith. And I'm still learning. There's waves where it's like, I can't hear God's voice. And sometimes God doesn't answer or doesn't talk back to you. He doesn't, say anything, but he might use someone else to talk to you. But you have to be attuned to the Spirit as much as you can. And it just takes discipline. It's not like, oh, tomorrow, here we go. And that could be a miracle. That could happen. I'm not saying that God can't do that, but it takes time. And it really is like, as you grow a friendship in person on this earth, it takes time and it takes trust and it takes those things here. And it's the exact same thing with God. And the cool thing is like, God's not going to judge you. Like he loves you already as who you are. And with people, they'll be judging you all the time. Even if you're best friends, they'll be questioning you. But like with Jesus, he already loves you. He's going to walk you through everything and he's going to be there for you.
Amen.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that. I hope that will make an impact on the prayer life of everyone listening. I think that
I hope so,
that religion versus relationship side, I need to pray at this before I eat, before I go to sleep, versus like, hey, I just need to have a conversation with my friend Jesus, with my provider, with Alpha Omega, just knowing we have access to that is sometimes we just forget and our day goes differently. And so, thank you for setting that out and explaining that. I hope that truly will change lives. So another hard question. Describe your mission trip experience in one word, maybe two.
Fulfilling.
That's a good one.
Great word.
It's fulfilling because I was able to see the full circle of it. Because it was fulfilling because I saw the full circle of like how God can use an ordinary man like me to just fill some simple, what we take for granted, soap, toothbrush, those type of things, put it in a plastic bag, get on a plane and hand it to someone who will have to use it for a month. The full circle moment of like how blessed we truly are here in America, how blessed we truly are in a country that is so free, and we take that for granted. The fulfillment of taking that package to someone in need is like, that's a physical manifestation of being the hands and feet of Jesus. This is the closest that I'll ever get to being like what Christ is like until I get to heaven. Like this is the closest that I can, is to take something that I have, that I take for granted, and give it to someone that doesn't have it. And to doing it, not because to check it off the list, but because God told me to do it. There's a difference. To go on a mission trip just because, this is the right thing to do as a Christian. Yes, there is some blessings in that. Paul talks about it, the gospel's getting out. No matter what your heart is, you're going to get that checked at the door at heaven. No matter what you believe, what you do, all that's going to get checked at the heaven. But the fact that I heard God and I said yes to it and I went and did it, there's a different fulfillment. There's something deep inside that I won't be able, like no one can take from me, because I had that intimate moment with Christ as I gave that away. Wow. So fulfillment. And I always look back to, as you can see, I'm crying because it's still impactful today, because it's a reminder of how blessed I am. Because sometimes I get so bogged down with like, I need this, I need that, I need these taken care of. Well, some people are just scrounging to get, a toothbrush.
Yeah, that's powerful. It's something that I think everyone should go to India to experience.
Yeah.
And I think that's an important point that you made, that even if your heart isn't aligned, God will still use you.
Hey, it's Anjali. We will be right back.
Kevin White is an international speaker,
best-selling author, and serial entrepreneur. He has helped start hundreds of businesses,
nonprofits, and churches.
Kevin loves helping people everywhere to live, transform,
and prosper in the presence of God.
As founder and executive director of Global Hope India, Kevin has traveled over 1 million miles to 27 different countries, speaking to thousands of audiences throughout India and the world. Kevin hosts Global Hope India's International Call to Prayer the third Tuesday of each month
via Zoom, YouTube, and Facebook Live.
Join Kevin the first Friday of each month for a keynote message featuring a powerful word from God. This international live broadcast is available via Zoom, YouTube, and Facebook Live. Kevin's book, Audacious Generosity, is an international bestseller. Audacious Generosity is available in paperback, hardback, ebook, and audiobook at kevinwhite.us, and worldwide everywhere books are sold. Visit kevinwhite.us and join thousands of subscribers to Kevin's daily 1-minute motivation series called Generously Blessed. Kevin hosts 3 podcast shows: Missions Changed My Life, Living the Dream, and The Kevin White Show. New episodes release every Tuesday and are available at kevinwhite.us, globalhopeindia.org, and everywhere podcasts are available worldwide. Find the complete archive of all broadcasts at kevinwhite.us or subscribe for free on Kevin's YouTube channel.
And never miss a broadcast.
Remembering the true generosity of God from John 3:16. For God so loved the world that he gave Jesus. Visit kevinwhite.us today.
For over 20 years, Global Hope India has been empowering the church in India as they make Christ known. Visit globalhopeindia.org and learn how you can pray, give, and go. Over 1,000 people have served on one of GHI's short-term mission trips to India. Now you can join a virtual mission team to India. Visit globalhopeindia.org today because everyone should have access to hear about Jesus. Okay, now back to the show.
What would you tell someone who's thinking about going on a short-term trip, even if they're saying, I've never heard the voice of God? Or, what would you tell that person who may, just need to experience hearing and seeing God in a different context?
Just come and see. It's like inviting them to church. You have to come and see. There's, I can talk to you blue in the face about like what I've witnessed and what I've seen and what God has done through me and all that type of stuff. But that's my personal experience. That's
right.
Me connecting with God. I can't guarantee you coming with me and I'm having this moment of handing this package to this child and I'm like losing my stuff while the other person's like, here you go, just passing it out like chips at a ball game. It's different because God's going to meet you in different ways because we don't know what that person's story is. We don't know what is going through that person's life at that moment. We don't know his or her conversation with Christ or their but their relationship with Christ. And so for some people, it might be like this super impactful thing, but it's all internal. Like maybe they didn't see a single miracle. They built houses. They did a bunch of work with their hands, all that type of stuff. All the work was happening inside. They might have seen something physically happen, but God might have been working within you to change a perspective that needed to be changed or to pull out a root that was established there 15 years ago. I cannot convince you to go on a mission trip, but I can invite you to come because in order to experience what I've experienced, you have to be there because God's going to work through you and work within you differently than he's going to do with me. And the only way you're going to figure it out is if you get on the plane and go. And that's a big decision. And that's a conversation that you have to have with your family and obviously your family and also with God. But sometimes you just got to take the risk and see what happens. Maybe nothing will happen. You might just go, cool experience. You experience some cool food, have some fun, meet some new people, and then you go back. But that's still an experience. It's a different perspective. But if you're saying like, I'll go, God's going to use you and he's going to meet you there because he's already doing a work in India. And now you're aligning with him, even though you might not know it mentally, you're aligning with him with your hands. And he's gonna be like, oh, there's an open door, I'm going in. You have to come and see. You have to just take the risk and get on the plane and go. And that's the only way you're gonna really experience it because you can listen to all these things and you might be inspired by it, but you're getting inspired by people and their experience. But if you really want to get inspired, get on a plane and go to India, and then God's going to meet you there and he's going to change your life.
Thank you for listening to the Missions Change My Life show by Global Hope India with Kevin White. Find the complete archive of all episodes at kevinwhite.us or subscribe for free through your favorite podcast player and never miss an episode. This program is a copyright of Global Hope India, all rights reserved. Each week, we bring you a message of how God uses missions to bring real and lasting change through Jesus Christ. Join Global Hope India again next week for Missions Changed My Life with Kevin White. Missions Changed My Life with Kevin White.